You got your mind made up. Ain't nothing to see. I got you wondering why I'm smiling, looking like I'm Dominique. They say I earn my chips, I scream to pain, all the while fighting your denial like I don't have a seat at the game. I guess I'm deranged, but I'm gonna hold. I've been down much longer than you have been gone. I keep on paying no mind, I'm setting up mine. Best believe I know my hands are diamond. I feature in shining, yeah. My hands are diamond. Never bet against me, 'cause all that money you spent to hedge your bet, but your mistake is my take from a play against your greed. Say I know you tried and conspired, your degenerate ways on full display. It's a shame how foolhardy. I guess I'm deranged, but I'm gonna hold. I've been down much longer than you have been gone. Yeah. Keep on throwing chips in, you know in the end this hand's deeper than your money. Oh, my hands are diamond, our future is shining, yeah. My hands are diamond. Never bet against me, yeah. My hands are diamond. My hands are diamond. I guess I'm deranged, but I'm gonna hold.
Thank you very much, my brother from another mother there, Ronaldo Moreno. What a legend. What a legend. Great guy, eh? That link is pinned in the live chat, so of course you'll be able to grab that whenever you want to and pop over there, give him a wee like and a subscribe for the excellent work that he does. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We're going to be discussing AMC and GME and all the MF good stuff that you want to see. You can bet your bottom dollar that we'll be talking about all the positive good things here in just a moment or two. As you can see at the minute, the GME price is sitting pretty above 225 at the minute. That's pretty nice. And that's not the AMC chart. Daniel, I'm going to get around to reading that in just a second. Thanks so much, my friend. That's really nice of you. And AMC sitting pretty at 63.60. Yes, well, very excited about the movies that I am going to see. I got my tickets at 53. Today has been a nice day. We're sitting at that 886 at the minute. That is obviously a very, very, very good region to be in, and bringing up the oscillators down below, you can see that if we were to actually not push up past this point any further here on the day, that actually wouldn't be a problem, because we'd not be closing with any sort of sense of like if we had a pullback thereafter divergence. But I would rather see us breaking that high, and it's within touching distance, just a couple of bucks away. So, you know, going to focus on the positive here and talk about how wouldn't 65 as a close for the day be very, 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 very good. And then with GME, you know, today is actually been a positive day. It's easy to sometimes get a bit distracted when you see a little bit of negativity in the day, but we'll not let any of those sorts of things stop us from what we do. And we can see that while there has been a bit of a pullback, you know, having things got quite excited earlier on some hours ago, it has pulled back since then, but we're still golden at the minute, and that's great, right? That's great. So there's somebody in there that got their message deleted. That's good stuff. Oh, Crypto Batista. Yes, there's a troll for you. Excellent. Good to see he's gone as well. Excellent. Well, nice one. And Kala, have we got any dislikes here? I hope those guys were at least conscientious enough to have hit dislike before they got booted. You know. Kala, you became an early supporter. Thanks so much. That's super appreciated. Really, really appreciated. Daniel Lesage says, my Irishness forced me into the Twitter drama. Hope I didn't make anything worse. No, you didn't. You didn't. You see, the thing is that nobody, any of us, did anything to make anything worse at all. We didn't do anything wrong, yeah. It's not too dissimilar to the arguments that the government would like to put out against us, you know, through media or any sorts of propagation that they want to choose to do it, along the lines of how, you know, we're doing something wrong by buying a stock and holding it and that sort of thing. It's not too dissimilar from that argument. Nope, you were absolutely fine, my friend. In fact, any of yous out there that had any contribution to that, I have no doubt at all that you're absolutely fine. So if anybody has any lingering feelings about it, be sure to know that I've got your back, right? I've got your back. Oliver comes in here to say, much love to you, Rocky and Jamie. You guys are solid as rocks. That's right. It's in the name, my friend. Paul B, AMC, doing super well. Yeah, it really is. It's doing fantastic. It's so great. It's so flipping excellent. We're aware of this price point, having, of course, discussed this quite a bit over the last wee while. And we were aware on this dip down the way how all that was kind of panning out for us. And hasn't it been absolutely fantastic? Just dropping in here at the 4 hour time frame, you can see that everything went spectacularly well with regards to the TA and everything that we'd already outlined in the past. It's great. It's always good to have done the work in advance, something I didn't learn as a younger man. But I've obviously learned growing up, you know, that doing due diligence, etc., in the proper way before you make any sorts of assertions is obviously the wise thing to do, and it would be naive to think otherwise. Fapping it, great. You know, you guys, you're getting bigger because you're getting more trolls. That's true, buddy. And doing interviews with other YouTubers, great video with Jackson Hunter. That's right, it was a really fantastic interview with Jackson Hunter, and we're going to have Cosmic on at the weekend as well. You know, it's such an amazingly positive and freaking wonderful community that we have here, and the overlap obviously that exists with what you've got going on over there at Cosmic, Lightning Warriors place and Trade Spotting's place, and Jackson Hunter, like you just mentioned. So, like, you know, it's amazing, these sorts of positive things, right? And that's what we're all about, because apes strong together, right? And none of us would ever want to start, you know, chucking aspersions around about somebody without having done any due diligence and trying to take them down on Twitter or anything like that, because that's not what we are like. Evan, wait, Cosmic Lightning Warrior stream that we have to set it up, okay? So it's not like set in stone, okay? It's not guaranteed to happen. But what's guaranteed is that the three of us would love to do some Rick Rollickin hijinkish live streamings with each other. For surezies. Got this coming in here from Paul B. Rocky, can you give me the next buy levels for AMC, please, but not as financial advice. Okay, Paul, thanks very much for the question. So what we're talking about here is what are the next buy levels for AMC. Now, this is a different kind of proposition slightly to what we were talking about the other day, and it's a nice little segue onto the next section of technical analysis that we're doing here at the minute. You're looking for something. Yeah, so we've got that on the go. Wait, is this peaking, this bike? I don't want it to be peaking. Anyway, maybe that's whatever, eh? All good. Right, so the question, sorry, Paul, thanks so much for asking that question. How about we dive over to a bigger chart here, which doesn't have the same stuff on it. A lot of noise on this one. This has obviously been crayon-tastic in the past, this guy. Let's just zoom on in here and take a look at what we used to say. Isn't that kind of crazy? Isn't it kind of crazy as I zoom in here to this technical analysis we did in the past? Right. Anyway, I'll get rid of these hieroglyphics. I'm really am quite curious though as to what it was that we drew in here in the past. Got our champagne cork, or sort of funny looking face here. I think we really obviously, I think if I'm looking back in the past, I think we must have laid this out in some way that obviously makes a lot of sense visually to some people. Let's try and do that. Let's try and do it all over again. We'll get rid of Uncle 1618 over there off the Fib family. Fuck yeah, that was such a good episode. Do you remember that? Were you all here to watch that episode where we did the Fib family? Dip the baby! Don't dip the baby. Right. So the point of contention at the minute, I suppose, on this one is obviously, are we going to be able to rise up and take out those previous levels? And most concern with this one, obviously, is towards the end of the day, and that's exactly where we're headed at the minute in terms of the early time frame. This will be the last candle for the day, so it would be nice to push up the way. Now, what we're talking about is rebuy levels from where we came previously. Now, if we didn't actually push through here at the moment, then you'd be looking at a potential. And I don't want to get too carried away, or indeed to turn this into any sort of meme. In fact, let me just turn the volume. Why is the volume not showing up? Must have deleted it. All right. We should, like type with cup with handle thing. Now that's everybody's favorite pattern that they like to talk about. And it's obviously premature to talk about it at that point. But what that really is saying to you is when you talk about the sort of the handle component, that you would be looking at a 50% retrace, which is just typical sort of textbook standard. Oh fuck, I don't want the OBV on. I don't want that either. It's textbook sort of standards, standard textbook type stuff with regards to how that would go. Now, is that really? I don't know. It's too small a time frame thing to work out. Anyway, what you're market structure wise, sorry for being a bit distracted mid sentence there. What you're really saying is that there could be 50% retraces, and well, that's an idea that's as old as the hill, and of course that would be the case if you'd found yourself hitting off of support. But before we go down that road, let's just kind of analyze where it would be if we were to come down towards the Bollinger Band here. Basis line and find support. Now, what the Bollinger Band basis line is, of course, for everybody who isn't aware, is the 20 period simple moving average, and that's us looking at it in terms of 1 hour time frame here. So this is relatively small term time frame stuff, and we'll look at it on a larger time frame and a smaller time frame in this process just here. This is actually, by the way, technically, if you're wondering, this is AMC technical analysis right now. I'm doing it under the guise of answering Paul's question, of course, and that's what this is the main focus right now, is what would be the best rebuy entries, and the first sort of target that you would hope to stay above, because of, like I like to give here on the show at times, because of two reasons, is the Bollinger Band basis line and the 236 Fibonacci retracement point here between the prior low down there at 39.81, the last low before it was bought up, as you can see here in this candle, actually pushed it up a fairly significant chunk in and of itself, before continuing up the way, kind of not looking back at that point. And then you're looking down to sort of $58. $58 is a nice enough easy number kind of between those two. It's a round enough number, but that your region in terms of communicating, that's an easy enough one to go with. Now, of course, if we did push down here and come down to the lower end of the Bollinger Band, you're looking at that 50% Fibonacci retrace against this entire entire move. So to kind of further that conversation we were having before, conversation loosely spoke, with regards to where the 50% is, before we dive any deeper into targets that actually take out the market structure of the prior low, we can explore this idea of, if we saw a retrace from here, where would 50% be coming in at, and we can see that that lines up at 57.86. Okay, so so that's 3 reasons now that you've got to be looking at this region, right, just in and of itself, before you could potentially look down. And bearing in mind, of course, that this is just on the most, the most basic simplistic level as well of looking at things, not not to downplay what we're doing here, just looking at this in the terms of an overall kind of range and the consolidation aspect of things. Then you could look at this going sideways across this whole section here, and talk about this kind of general range that there is, and this of course being where our market structure low was, our previous low there. You can see our previous low with regards to this parallel channel that I'm just kind of roughly trying to sketch in here to give you the idea that if you're looking between, and you can see it's a bit sloppily done there, but give me the benefit of there we go. So between these 2 areas, what is the range that it's currently operating in? And then of course you've got that lining up previously with your market structure. So we're kind of aiming here for this sort of, if you like, dead space for other reasons. But if that were not to happen, and like I say, there's at least 3 reasons why we could look there, at least for that particular reason, and I'll give you a 4th. That's where this where this gap was over here, and it's we could go back to retest support like we already did previously. And another reason as well is in the 15-minute time frame, our prior lows actually came right in here lining up with it. So I mean, I can give you reason after reason after reason for that region to be somewhere that the prices could go to. But let's suffice it to say that if it were to drop on down, then you'll be looking there at your market support for a variety of reasons in there at the 50 to $52 price point, really. And if it went down below that, then you're going to have ideas again about $40 and stuff. But we have, of course, the opening statement here in terms of what we were talking about was essentially that we're already, the main question here, although what you asked is absolutely a valid and very, very good question, Paul, and has no doubt helped numerous people watching along right now. The question that we're asking right now is, can we succeed our prior highs here? Can we succeed our prior highs just in terms of the closing on the 1 hour time frame and actually notch off a day at 64? Because here on the 1 hour time frame, we know that lines up as well in the 24, the daily time frame, with our previous highs coming in there at 64. And that's the question that we're actually asking at the minute overall. At this stage in terms of AMC, really, typically, I wouldn't need to revisit the charts myself again to do any further explanations, but there's a whole lot more that we could explore in terms of oscillators, like I've got laid out here on the charts there, moving averages which are not visible, etc. And it just really goes to show the depth of technical analysis, how far you can go. But that there, I think, is probably even beyond anything that you're likely to find anywhere else, whether that's on YouTube or indeed on trusted and reliable sources on the internet. For that one, thanks for the question. Nice to see you out there, Apple Blossom. It's really good to have you here. Hope you're doing very, very well. What's going on with the chat up there? Always learning. There we go. There's a really good guy. Thanks. Good to see you, buddy. Tough Gnarl. Rensoul was happy to go into... Oh, right. They're talking about somebody... I don't know who you're talking about there, but maybe you're talking about this stock over here. We've got this stock called Rensola Limited. Okay, Rensola Limited, and you can see here in the 24-hour time frame that that this is a type of stock that might go on to Twitter and say unfounded allegations about somebody and really try to defame somebody while it has control and influence over a community of over 450,000 people. And they would do that in a way that is really insulting and offensive. You could say that about this stock, but I don't know, that's not what anybody at all in this community tuned in to see, so I'll not really go into any more detail unless anybody specifically would like to know any more details about this specific stock and its, of course, ridiculous behavior. Maybe you want to know about GME though. What was that? Paul B. Okay, so hoping to close above 64. If not, then buy levels at 58, 51-ish. Got it. Cheers, Rocky. No problem, man. That's totally brilliant. And we probably will, throughout the duration of this show, go back and look at a few other things. So you can keep your eyes peeled for anything else that might chime with what you might happen to be looking at on your own charts or whatever happens to be, you know, at the time. See people laughing in the chat. No idea why you're laughing. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so, right, yeah, we had this whole chart here. It's called GME. It's a good stuff. I like it. I like the stock. It's really all I need to say. But beyond that, what we're looking at is, of course, you know, this area where we've been consolidating recently, and we're going to be appreciating the fact that in this region we haven't broken down past the region really which was created at that gap point, and we haven't needed to express the range of the movement that carried us up in towards this new paradigm that we've been in since the since 210 buck region, you know, since over there on the 25th of May. Now, if we did test down the way, of course, I'm looking to this lower area at 183. But like I say, super happy here to be at 224, and there's a lot of good things to be said about this chart. Maybe some things about this chart that could be said about it that are good might be more expressed a little bit easier if I were to look at this from a sort of upside down point of view overall here. As you can see, if this was actually the GME chart the right way around, this is upside down at the moment. Thank you so much, by the way, Tommy Berman, for becoming an early supporter. That's massively appreciated, my friend. Really appreciate that. So what you could be looking at here, if this was the way round the chart was, but it isn't. This is me having flipped upside down to give you a different view on it, you know, so you look at things from a different angle, literally, and think about how you would perceive things if you're in the bullish case, and that you could say, okay, that the prices could go up towards this 170 region, you know, that's what you could say, having taken out this 236, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But what you can also say is that we've come in here right up to this 50% point, and we've not managed to break through it. And really, you know, if the prices were to drop down here overall, then you'd be looking at what is a really, really heavy downward trend, and that this has just been a high, a low, a lower high here, and then a lower low so far, and that's definitely very visible overall, this facet of this pricing here. And that really, as a trader responsibly, you'd have to be very, very keen to be aware that you'd have to, like, you know, ditch your positions at 340, because the prices, of course, could, you know, if they were to break it that way and you were long on this. By the way, that might be very confusing to people who are not familiar with an upside down chart. This is the way the chart actually looks, and what I'm actually saying is that you would that this is a really good buy price, and that, of course, you know, if you were to be short in this here at this point, then you would be really, really fucked when it got to $350. That's what I'm just after saying, but I'm saying it from this way round, that if you were looking to long it from this point here up the way, then obviously you'd be really fucked by the time it got to there, right? That's the basic point, the basic principle that I'm trying to draw out here and give you a different perspective on things. So this is really good that the prices have been rounding out here at the minute. And if we take out that 382, then we're right on the way towards taking out that 236 and moving on up, and, you know, kind of forgetting this as it is. The 50% retrace was anticipated, and of course it has then satisfied an awful lot of people, as you can see with these wicks here on these candles that have brought the price back up anytime that it's really dilly-dallied down in this region for any period of time. Of course, you get the benefit of seeing that on the 24-hour time frame here. Indeed, the daily chart, they're exactly equivalent. And if we look down towards something lower, like such as the 1 hour time frame, and kind of consider this, you can see that actually emotionally we spent quite a long time here below the current price point at 224, where people have been kind of stressed out and worried, and, you know, this sort of anxiety can lead to all sorts of things, the least of which being, you know, adolescent behavior on Twitter. You know, the actual problems are is that maybe, you know, you might have people sort of getting worried about things to the extent that they do something stupid like sell all of their AMC before it rises up, you know, another whatever it was percent there from whenever that happened, you know, and missing out on 30%, despite the fact that they might be leader of a community of 450,000 people who are specifically holding that stock and relying on them for what they would choose to do with their own positions, crazy as it might seem. So that's the type of emotions that happen with this sort of thing, and that's great, because obviously, evidently, people who would have obviously considered themselves to be quite diamond handy before get an opportunity to experience their true nature and paper hand out of something, then of course the prices can continue on up the way. And that's the general premise that we're looking for here. And indeed, that's why we welcome the chase if it were to drop down to 177. And that's the mentality that is of course expressed across the board here by all of us, you know. And that's why we're so united and positive as a community and don't listen to FUD from the outside sources, regardless of who they are and in what position and who over they might have influence. Right? Yeah, I think so. Of course. Ape strong together. Much love, fam. Yeah, so it's pretty good overall, and I'm pretty excited. And there's another way of expressing that overall goodness feeling that there is, outside of looking at sort of Fibonacci retracements and all sorts of that sort of jazz. Of course there is. There's tons of them. I can chuck on them, you know, willy-nilly. No, it will be. But I'll do it anyway. I don't mind. But do you think I should? I'll do it. I mean, I don't mind. Here's a song which is probably copyrighted. I don't mind. We're going to stick it on anyway. What's it called? You know, it's called Loch Lomond. Right. Yeah. Let's stick that on. Loch Lomond. And we'll put on. We'll not put on the original run rig. We'll give some random dude a shout out. Here instead, that, you know, could do with what? Something that's but some a rando though, not run rig. The Loch Lomond lyrics featuring the Tartan Army. Yeah, let's do that one. All right, whatever. That's something different.
And I will be
That was excellent. That was fantastic. I just had to play that last wee bit. I paused it a little bit early and I wanted to get the full thing. Now, let's just draw a line under everything that happened earlier on, because it doesn't really matter. See, the thing is, right, what happened was somebody who didn't actually understand the privilege of their own position forgot that for a moment, and that happens. But just so you know, I actually don't really care at all, because we're here now and I actually recognize that privilege, so it doesn't matter. Never did, never coulda. The thing about the GME chart here in the 4-hour time frame, with the Ichimoku cloud below us just kind of showing us the way, is that we are just above the well, I mean, it's the we're just above we're above the conversion line, so not fantastic in the sense of where we are overall. That's because as a result of this pull down, but you can see that we're just pushing up from the cloud itself, and that's really great. You know, it's great. So the closures that we're getting at this point here are starting to give us the ability to be in a position to push on further, and there's still plenty of time left on the day where we could actually even push up even more. You know, it's still possible. But the broader term perspective is what I'm looking at right now, and this is bearing in mind that if we did push through the cloud here, this would be the most kind of likely place to push through it, in the sense that over the next few days, and that it would just be a lot of eager people waiting to kind of like pick it up at the next area of support if that's the case, and that would be, and we'll kind of cross those bridges if we come to them. But generally speaking, over the last few days, people have been asking the question, what's a good buy price for this thing? And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm never going to tell anybody how to spend their money, you know, at all. Only advice I'd ever give to anybody is to never, of course, buy more than you can afford, so that you're never put in a position where you have to kind of choose between something. You know, like if you have to choose between a hospital bill or your stock portfolio, you're not in a good position. So then you're fine. So that, but I wouldn't give any more sort of financial advice really than that. But I would say that it's after periods of time like this that, of course, it creates the sort of the fuel, if you like, for the FOMO feeling should prices go up a lot higher, because by the time the prices were to go up to like the next significant areas in terms of the supports and resistance, then you're looking at obviously having had moved on quite a distance in terms of what it would cost to get a single share, even at that price. And that feeling is what actually is one of the sort of the main primary undercurrents of FOMO, right? Is this knowledge, and it's much more, people like to talk about FOMO in the sense of here we are rocketing towards the top side, and sure, that's FOMO in terms of like FOMO and then people acting on the FOMO, right? But in periods here, if it jumps up the way, then you have got people who've experienced the FOMO, and it's like for them it's a past thing, and they're looking at it going, humming and hawing about other stuff, and that's the position that you really want to be in, because then everybody else then starts chiming in and saying, okay, at that point, what are the, and then I'm not saying that the prices are guaranteed to go here. I'm just saying this is a common facet along the way. That when you move up the way, everybody starts asking you then what's the good price to buy at, etc., and you often end up having a conversation saying, well, hey, we did speak about this at the time, and so on and so forth. So anyway, we're still waiting to find out, how that actually pans out. But looking at it and just saying, well, this here in and of itself is bearish. Well, no, it's not actually. There's no way that you can really say that. Overall, you're looking at a bullish chart, and we've had what is been obvious and kind of normal enough price action that's operating along the way, and that's where we are. So there's nothing that you can say there. So it's only whenever it pushes down past the 177 area that you can actually say, hey, there's some bearish aspect to this, and at that stage you can see these other big drop downs, etc. Yeah, thanks very much to Eugene out there, really appreciated. Has GME completed their share offering? I'm not 100% sure on that. That's something that you should, that I'm more than happy to say, that there's people out there who have an ability to do due diligence, where they're able to look beyond the first page of a description of whatever's on the page before making a blanket assertion about something. Now, if I were to go and right now try and answer that question about whether or not the share offering's completed, I might be at risk of doing what looks like due diligence, but it's actually acting like a complete phony, and I would never do that ever. So I would prefer to defer to somebody else for that. Now, that's an uncommon attitude, right? And if you don't understand why I'm saying that, welcome to the family. You know, we've got a lot to learn. What is that? Man. Rex Racer, fantastic. Thank you so much for being an absolute gentleman. Really, that's truly appreciated. It truly is. Somebody out there, what am I reading here? Paul B says, Atobit is awesome. Couldn't agree more. From everything that I've seen about Atobit, he's absolutely awesome. Right? Yep. I'm not here to say one person's better than another or any of that sort of stuff, though, so that's definitely not my intention there. I would just like to be clear about things. There's lots of great people out there in the world, tons and tons and tons of them. And well done to all of you for finding me. Ooh, but there, far be it from me to say that I'm a great person. I'm just really glad that we're here together. Nice one. What are you saying in there? Lol, nice Rex. Brittany is my sister. Oh, really? That's so lovely. That's so lovely. Weezer says, Rocky Outcrop, awesome stuff. Can we get an apish thesis on GME and AMC? Apish thesis on AMC and GME. Sure we can. Sure we can. No problem. Let me just hide that off because it's not going to contribute to the sort of that cause here. Apish thesis on GME is price goes up, bro. Okay. Generally speaking, that would be how that goes, and just clear sort of, let's just make it clear, we'll just draw in some numbers along the way. You got your $15 in here, you've got your $40 in here, you've got your $200 in here, and to continue that apish thesis on, let's just say that we were to do something similar in terms of time. So say this amount of time more. Well, is that even too much time to ask? Let's just ask that before the next, that we do this amount of time more, just this amount of time more going up the way. We're not doing any, we're just going to say we want this amount of time. We know the chart's been like that for ages. It might be greedy to say we want all of that much more time right here before we see any more sorts of pullbacks, if we do get continuation towards the top side here and now. And we have so that, how much time would that be? Well, I can do it quite easily, just sort of like that line's up there, just kind of line that up there, it'd be that much time, and then I can take my thingy job on here and say cool, so maybe the next low in the future, when the next time you have people saying is what the good price could be, could we just stick in a sort of apish thesis along the lines of saying that 5 is in at that point just there, and then we can have, and then in terms of this bit, we could just pop this in like this, and or delete it because it's kind of a bit messed up, and just go, and then just point at this here and say that section question mark. Okay, so what's going to happen in between? Cool, there's going to be ups and downs and jobbies and all the rest of it, but maybe there's a wee apish thesis on GME, I think, because I don't know if that was what you asked for necessarily, but that's a bit of something, right? Specifically using the drawing tool instead of straight lines and all sorts of stuff like that. It's all good, right? And then the other one was AMC asked about. This AMC company, you might not have heard of it. It does movies and shit. I can't do it on this chart. There's too much noise on this chart. Right. Let's do one on this. AMC. Ah, crap. Oh well, sometimes you just have, you win some, you lose some, eh? Just forgive me here for my sheer laziness. No, that's not going to be good enough for us. We want it to be more more, we don't need to be the same story. You see, they can't make the exact same story because of course we've had that parabolic rise up, and if you connect up dots underneath, then it's going to be a more case at the minute of talking about where the support comes in at, etc., and it not being where we're at support. So that kind of gives you that different kind of view to what GME's showing in that tiny little sense. So instead, we'll just do it on a shorter term time frame. Sort of like, you know, sort of not term time frame, but I don't want it. The drawing the lines thing. How can I make this really? How can I make this as stupid as possible but still be accurate? That's the challenge. It's like a real challenge. Oh, I know. You do it the other way around. Sorry, God, so really had to start thinking there. I had to start using the little brain. Brilliant. So cool, right? So we've got this price and it go up. And what we're looking at is how it goes up a whole bunch. We could be seeing the prices coming in here, for example. Well, let's just draw out some prices again. We got dollar symbol 8, right? That's somewhere around about there. Then you've got dollar symbol 20. That's in around about there. Then you've got dollar symbol, we'll just call this, what should we call this out region? 70. We'll call this 70, just for argument's sake, since we know that was roughly that high in there, right? That doesn't look so clean. Need my apes to be able to see my crayons, you know. 70, we'll call that, right? So there you go. That'll do for a dollar symbol in it there, right? Then what we'll do is we'll say, hey, you know, if we were to come up to that area, what is that one? You know, what is that one? Well, that's 120. That's like, you know, an idea that we've had for quite a while. If we're actually able to make it up to, say, any of these points along this curve in terms of, you know, who gives a screw if we go all the way around like this in terms of our price action, then eventually or whatever, and then we're at that one, that would be what would that be that we're lined up with? About $200 ish, something like that. So, you know, there we go. Okay, is that what you were asking about? I don't know if that answered the question or not. That's actually quite a challenge. Apple Blossom, $20. Thank you so much. Really kind and generous of you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. What did I miss in the chat? There it is. Thank you. Jack Bell. Yep, I now remember why I never go on Twitter. Oh, right. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about though. It's good, loads of good stuff on there. Aaron, good to see you, buddy. Arnie McInnes, guess what I grew? Nope. Cool. Looking good. Where else is there chat? Is anybody talking to me? In conclusion, more bananas. That was spot on. Thank you. Oh, fantastic, Weezer. Glad I could help. What time is that? 8:45, 8:45. Brilliant. Oh, Weezer, you know, you did me the massive honor there, service, honor, whatever, of actually managing to carry us through to like the last 15 minutes of the day's trading range, day period, the last 15 minutes of the day, yo. And that's just wonderful because it means that I don't have to try and entertain anybody in the meantime, because we usually have the price action kind of laid out. Yeah. So brilliant. So we can look at in the next 15 minutes. Anybody that wants to know anything about any stocks before they close, then you can know about any stocks before they close. Anybody that wants it, by the way, as well, you know, I think maybe I say some crap somewhere on my page, like you get to request coins if you're a member or whatever. I don't know. You know, anybody want me to look at any cryptocurrencies or anything, whatever, let me know. Just don't want to have anybody think, oh, Rocky never gave me that option. I think I'm also supposed to give people shout outs and stuff like that. Oh, speaking of which, I did get a new Patreon. Somebody signed up. I saw the notification coming in my Gmail, but I didn't read it. Whoever you are, you know who you are. I'll contact you directly afterwards. I'm genuinely grateful for that. Thanks so much for the Patreon support. It really means a lot. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I feel bad for not, you know, making note of the name at the time on the email, but I just saw the thing. It came in a couple of days ago, but I saw that, checking my emails or whatever. I'm sorry, right? Thanks. Marco says, MindMed on the Neo Exchange, please. MindMed on the Neo Exchange, please. Cool. MindMed on the Neo Exchange, please. Right. Cool. Okay. Oops. Can I just, I hope you don't mind, let's just have a quick examination of the of this. It is that, it's just because there's a different one on the other exchange, right? Whatever, skip that. Skip that. Don't know why I've got that open now. Right. Cool. So Mind Medicine, I don't know what these guys do. Normally I make jokes about companies, right? And it comes up and it says something like this, and I'll make a whole big joke about it. But if this one's Mind Medicine, they do something to help in mental health, and I'm not going to make jokes making jokes about them. Don't mind making jokes about bra companies, you know. From the broad term perspective, you know, this area of consolidation is actually okay. You can see as well that this high was indeed higher than the previous high. At this stage, it's kind of a fairly early stage, if you're looking for this to break down the way, because this is still somewhat in it's bullishly positioned overall. Now there was this push down in price action over here, and if you'd have looked at it from this point, you'd have had a lot of those sort of questions that have come back in time, come back into people's and people have been talking about recently with regards to distribution, etc., and all this sort of stuff. And if you were looking at the charts then back in this point here, this is really frustrating. That's doing that thing. I'll fix that. I'll take a minute to fix that in a few minutes. I'll play Ronaldo Moreno tune or something like that. CCIV in a bit as well. Yeah, so back here you would have been talking about all that sort of stuff and asking questions, and then looking down to this point here and saying, oh hey, if we break this line here, the 236 Fibonacci retracement, we'll be going down towards this, not yada yada yada, right? And you'd be talking about all of that. So then what ended up happening is that we managed to push on up, put in a higher high, and now not break that down past that point. So, you know, looking at the overall point here, back here you could have been bearish, looking for things, managing your risk, and etc. I'll fix that in a few minutes, don't worry. And then at this point here, you're just continuing towards the top side so far. So that's the kind of the basic there in terms of, I was just kind of trying to point out the mentality, and that for you to start saying that things are negative now, it's like either a case of like not recognizing where we are right now as vis-a-vis the failure to break down past our previous, past this support zone in the past, you know, and also the prices remain above this key price point here at 318. Okay, that's the kind of the general premise there on this chart. Looking at that from a broad perspective and recognizing exactly where we are with relationship to each other. With these moving averages, what's that one? That just looks like just the 9 on its own. Is that what that is? That's the 18 on its own. Oh, 1836. Right, no, 936. 54. Wait a minute, I'm missing something here. 18. 36. 54. And I'll pop them all on. Why not? I'll hide off the other shit for now. And then we'll take a look at divergence. Golden cross here. What time frame is this? Is this a 4-hour time frame? Yeah, cool. Golden cross here with the prices pushing right past. Actually, it defended undoing the previous golden cross here and prevented a death cross from really happening. And then prices pushed up the way. So that's also kind of speaks to the bullish case scenario. It also looks in terms of this high down to this low here that happened at the 236. So bing bang, bing bong, jobs are good in right there, right on that line. So the bullish case scenario is very good here in this one. Looking at these 2 points on the price chart, you know, this is obviously it's obviously not a massive degree in terms of movement. So that's the DMI showing us that there's a bit of bearish divergence, and here on the thing there's a little bit of the old bearish divergence between those wee little highs. But in terms of between these, but in terms of moving it around, well, that was the low, that's a high, that was a higher low, and between these 2 points here, it's not divergent. Yeah, overall this looks pretty good. So targeting upside moves then at this stage. Yeah, a number of ways of coming up with these targets. Naturally, of course, we have found resistance at the 50% area. That's 15 cents up from where we are just now. So if you're looking to kind of like carry a move past that up towards the next target, where would it be? Well, that would be up at 5 535, you know. So if I were trading this myself, because of course I'm not a financial advisor, what I'd be thinking to myself would be, if the prices were to go up above 487, you've got a nice potential for a move up the way there of a decent, like, you know, 50-cent move, which is a 10% move, you know, which is decent. And if you're going in for it right now, is there potential for doing that? Yeah, there is. You know, it's not bearishly divergent, etc. If you're managing your risk, how could you do it here in terms of these like local movements? Well, I would be looking down to that sort of that price point of 446 if I was diving into this like ultra eager. But I have to recognize that there's actually a fairly decent chance of this coming back down to retest $4 even as it is now, and those would be your best to buy prices overall should this ultimately kind of resolve into what is really just a higher high on the daily time frame. So final sort of word on that front would be that that would just be a higher high on the daily time frame, and you'd be coming back down to that $4 price point to test off there, hoping for a higher high and hitting off the 50 simple moving average. If you did break down then past that, of course, that's the earlier story I was talking about. Right, sweet. Last 5 minutes. GME on the left, AMC on the right. Pop them into the 5 minute time frame and pop this over to the 5 minute time frame. I hope that was useful for you, whoever it was that asked now at this minute in time speaking here. Can't think. So yeah, right. Okay, cool. It would be really awesome to end the day above the 50 simple period moving average on the 5 minute time frame, but it is just a small time frame stuff. Where does that lower one come in at? Yeah, okay, so this is they're almost right. Those ones there, right? Whatever. Make this full screen as well. Great. What are we looking at here? Just extend that the previous high. Yeah, that's the previous high there. Great. And extend these lines to the right. Gives me something on the chart just here, right at the 618. In fact, here in terms of this, in terms of like, you know, having pulled back down to this area for support, $60, perfect area to see. Now this is the 618 that we've obviously clearly already broken past, having failed at the 90%. Oh my goodness, I've actually said this so many times. It pushed past the 886 and it went right up to the 90%. So there it happens. You know, we spent quite a deal of time talking about this concept yesterday and the previous days, by the way. Oh wow, great, thanks so much. I don't know how you say your name. Hervoji Vukovic. Sorry, man. Harold. Hey, Harold, man. Good to have you. Brilliant. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. This is 5 minute time frame. Did we see divergences there? Yes, we did. Have we pulled back? Yes, we have. Have we taken out our previous low? No, we haven't. Did we go down below the 50 period simple moving average here? Yes, we did. We've done that on both charts here, GME and AMC. Looking at this point and saying, you know, this would be a nice, easy, quick sort of quick fire bullish thing to do tomorrow morning, breaking past this price point here. Can we do that? Have we got the setup for it? Well, we most certainly do. We could even end the day above it. $60. Well, great. What did I say earlier on? Did I want it to end above 64? I think I wanted it to end above 64. That would have been ideal. We're at 60 at the minute. Okay, fair enough. Here, 224. Again, you know, look, I am genuinely happy to see this above $222 and all that. I genuinely am. At this point here, for me, you know, mostly it's a bonus pushing up the way. We'll do the kind of the broader term analysis with respect to where we ended the day. You know, for 5 minutes here for the 5 minutes after the charts close, and then I'll catch up with you all in the chat as well and see how you're doing. But for the last few minutes of the day, can we then see this push up? It would be so awesome to get 64. I think it's asking perhaps a bit much at the moment. It certainly is asking. No, it's definitely asking a bit much at the moment. Yeah, okay, so we weren't able to do that. Spent the duration of this episode kind of pulling back the way a wee bit, I suppose. Actually, that's fine. Worked out that way. Here, great. It's great. It's great. I'm happy. This, if you're the main question to be asked at the minute is there a substantial chance of this being a local low for us? And the answer is yes. In terms of GME, in terms of the 5 minute time frame, is this consolidation here got any particular bias on it? I don't want to say that it's a bear flag, like, you know, just because it's yeah. What's you're saying there? I don't know what you mean. I'm on the 5 minute time frame. It's just Jimmy's trying to give me some tip there, and I'm thinking, what? I don't know. What's this man speaking of? He says divergence. What's this divergence thing? I don't know what he's speaking about. Right, yeah. So kind of like, you know, here's another one of these kind of funny examples of this thing, like the ending here. went down and up. Well, I didn't actually, I thought it was during that period, but it was during that period. Anyway, as you can see here, the volatility is exceedingly low, giving you that, you know, that ideal setup for being able to break out and retest. I'll expect any sorts of retests on this one at the minute if we do break out. It's not obviously not happening in the last couple of minutes of the day. I'm saying I'd expect any sort of retest if we did break out either direction again. So I expect the prices to be coming back. This is fine. Is it just wanting to end at 222? Is that what it's like? Oh, I'm just going to end at 222 again. I was going to do this. Hope. I don't mind. Don't mind. Maybe I should try and do like TA on this for the last minute. Okay, we're on the 1 minute time frame now. Well, it's a bit of interstellar. Yeah, now the last minute should just push up in terms of the last minute here. Yeah, and that should just be what we get. And how are we ending here at AMC? 60, above 60 is great, above 222 is great. It's great, it's great. This is all really kind of wanted to see. Just keep on going. Just keep on going, man. You know, as a result of the likelihood that we'll pull up tomorrow, there's going to be an even, you know, the chances are that we'll see an even, like this thing here, decrease or go sideways again, the ADX, you know, complete lack of strength of trend. It's only really likely to kick in past the point at which there's any sort of negotiation in terms of the breakout, in terms of this 5 minute time frame here. So you're looking for movements of like $10 at this stage before you can really change anything. Ding ding ding, cool. My watch just turned to 9, but my watch isn't set to the correct time because I kind of like the irony of it. The bells will ring though in a second here and tell me that it's 9 p.m. Go on though. 223, it's above 222. That's exactly what I'm happy seeing. And the bells have just rung, and it's above 60. I mean, I have to say, $60 on AMC is absolutely fan-dabby-dozy. This price moving up here is great. Now, of course, there was that divergence. It did pull back. We didn't take out any market structure. We are below the 5 minute time frame, that 50 period, but that doesn't really matter. What we'll do right here at this point is check in on the slightly, you know, we've already done the TA for both of these in like quite a good bit of detail for a number of different ways, but I'll just kind of review what happened for the day here on AMC and GME. Then Robert asked me here, and it'll go ding-a-ling in just a second, have a drink on me if you have time. Thanks so much, man. Curious on TRCH closing bull flag. Cool, okay, let's just see if we've got a bull flag there on that one. This doesn't really look like a bull flag at the minute, or bear flag in terms of the 5 minute time frame. Thanks so much, Robert. Doesn't really look like one, you know, in terms of the 5 minute time frame. You know, there's like a flag, there's like the pole, and then this really long side. It doesn't really look like it. Wasn't happy to see that in the 5 minute time frame and say that that's what that is. So I didn't. That's why I was hesitant at the time. Anyway, let's just do this here with this. Let's just dive on over. We'll bring up GameStop. I prefer looking at this chart, by the way, because it has a pure black background on it. Personally, yeah. So just wanted to kind of do it. Let's ditch all of that again. And 4 hour time frame here for us. Yes, so the way that this has left us overall is settling here just above the 50 simple, having come back down to retest this exceedingly common area for a retest in what has obviously been an upward trend. I mean, if you want to identify a trend on a number of different bases, one way of doing it is to simply say, are you above the 200 simple period moving average, and is it sloping towards the top side? And that is, of course, what's happening overall here. You know, we do know that there is that region that we spoke about at 177 that you could revisit, but the way that the day ended here shaped up with us managing to secure our prices again, you know, above the 50 simple here, and that is, of course, very, very good. This pullback that's happened has been anticipated in number of different ways. People talking about cup with handles, etc., all that sort of good stuff, and of course filling the gap in and various other mechanisms along the way. I'm glad to have seen this gap be filled in because, of course, you know, the next gap looking up towards the top side is up at $293, and I'm not going to be upset to see the prices go up towards that one. If we see the prices then able to then actually start to undo these crosses here, it's going to be very, very good. There's only really been a cross between two very, very small term moving averages here. There's the yellow and the green one. That's the 9 period and the 18 period exponential moving averages, and they cross towards the downside there, you can see, but all the other ones remain in place, spanned out in a bullish formation, more or less, with just a slight sideways or slightly downward slope on them. So we're looking to see, can we change this from the broader perspective towards continuing the upward trend, and we so can. In the last couple of times that we've had downs here during this basin, we did need to see the prices, you know, the moving averages, etc., all kind of cascade towards the downside and start playing all the way down the way. But this time around, it's a slightly different situation. As you can see here, when we came down towards the 50 simple, well, when we pushed down here, you know, that was a different scenario following on from all that volatility. But essentially, you know, when we pushed down here, we did drag the moving averages down, and then start seeing them crossing in a kind of, there was so much movement, there's so much volatility, so much range built into the price action, as you can see, with the big spaces between the moving averages. Essentially, I mean, this is describing to you the increase in the range over a period of time with these big gaps. And here at the point here, you can see that we're all kind of condensed in together at a point where we're naturally coming down to, and that's of course, you know, just like a fueling station, and it's a jet fuel sort of scenario, and that's a really nice finish for the day. Every day I see the prices finish above 222, 223, 24, 25, and if we can get above 230 here in the next wee while, and up to, and that I'm paying keen attention towards 240 and 250. Actually, I know that feels like I've said every price, but as soon as we get past the sort of that region here, we're taking out this whole region of the consolidation, and it's back into sort of blue sky sort of potential, like, or at least all obstacles in my way type of point of view, and that would be nice to see happen. So can we do that, and then and not, well, we're in the position to do so, and that's very, very good, and that's in no small part due to the close that we've seen today, and I want to see that continue as the moving averages do, of course, like the 50, etc., continue to move towards the top side, and we continue to not break them, and that is fantastic. Okay, so that's where we are in terms of the close on that one. And then in terms of the close on AMC, we're doing just everything that you would really want to see happen here in terms of like staying above moving averages, all that sort of good stuff. And in fact as well, I had a big question on the day, you know, what would we close out at? So did we manage to, in terms of the 4-hour time frame, we definitely took out these previous highs, and these previous highs, not quite those ones. The 1-hour time frame is that $64 question, and we didn't quite get $64 question, but we didn't quite get above that. So this is again a lower high. That's fine. It just positions, and you know, because if we'd gone up higher, then we pulled back, we could have been looking at bearish divergence. So I'm happy enough to see it finish down below it, and that all kind of resolved itself on that smaller time frame that we're looking at towards the close there. Thank you so much, by the way, Tyler. That's really awesome. I don't see a message. I'll just double check that in a second. And that's good. Okay, it's good. It's good. Everything that we want to see happen is good. We didn't have the divergence. That's fine. Smaller time frames showed us that resolution. Now it's not mega ideal in terms of like looking at this and saying sorry, it's not ideal when you've got it on the what's going on here? Is my chart's crashed? Okay, good, thank you. When you've got it on the regular chart, you're like, oh no, do we have the energy to push above blah 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 blah? Right, let me just flip this one for us. If this was a downward trend, etc., you know, all it takes is for us to just continue down the way, and this is just typical. Like, we come down, we put in a lower high at this stage, you know, and if this was the upside down chart, there's a lower high, and then a low, and then a lower high, you know, all that stuff all the way up, and it's just pushing, and it's just and it just has that feeling, of course, of kind of going down, like to get just has to get past that point, and then of course you're off to the races. Well, you know, in actual fact, this is the bullish chart, and as you can see when I draw in this section here a bit clearer, then of course there is actually something here to be looked at in that right hand side of the chart, and there's of course a ascending triangle. So as we're in this situation here, we've achieved it, and we continue to achieve it so long really as the AMC prices continue to actually push up the way. Tomorrow, the next day, etc., if we do see a pullback on this one, I'm absolutely more than happy to see it dropping back down to any of these regions over here, because like I say, I'm looking at this and saying that that we are actually knocking all the time on the top end of this price action, and that, as you can see, you know, this ascending triangle that we have on the go in this little kind of feature just here, we've got 1-2 touches towards the downside. So actually, you know, the next best buy price is just like I said to the guy earlier on, in there about 56, 58, something like that. That would be fantastic to see happen. If we don't and we just crack on up the way, well, you know, it's a sort of snooze you lose situation. That's okay for a lot of people, and there we have it, and everything is looking pretty good. Now the close today as well leaves us in a position where that's still the consideration for tomorrow, which I guess was the key point really overall on that one. Now we had somebody ask me a question earlier on in terms of kind of take a look at, and it was TRCH, and the question was, have we got a bull flag? I was also looking at something else on that Canadian exchange there, so if that wasn't satisfactory, let me know. I've forgotten what I was talking about at the time now. TRCH bull flag. So I need to go onto this chart and find a bull flag, right? Just kind of looking at this and as broadly speaking, is there? So I'll just look at it on the. I know it's a small turn time frames because you specifically mentioned the word close, but I'm just going to look around anyway and see if I see anything else that's kind of similar on there. And there isn't really. Looking out for this one, by the way. Lots of wick action, on the dailies, but you're trending. This is like a why do you close your positions at the end of the day type chart. And it's like, well, because when I come into work the next day, I just trade the day, and that. Whereas if I leave these things open, then this is what I'm exposing myself to. So this is this type of chart for you. That's the immediate sort of obvious thing about it. A couple of key points, I suppose, as well, just from the broader term perspective. You got that, and you got that. We're not seeing that. If I just jump on over to AMC here, for example, and bring up the 24-hour time frame, we're not seeing like two sort of just two spikes of price action. We're seeing like several of them along the way, and of course, big ones. It's not exactly the same sort of thing as this here. So this goes hand in hand with what I was saying before in terms of the wicks and the volatility on this one. You're not going to have necessarily continued volume across a period of days when in a market which is happy to flip-flop on you, despite the fact that maybe you've got these things going on. Now, would I say that this is stopping volume? Well, no, not necessarily, but we do know that these rise up the way are associated with the outlier volume, so and it's happened a couple of times. Well, who knows if it'll happen again or whatever, but like I would be aware of the fact that in the future you could look back at that and say that was stopping volume, though, with this being starting and this being stopping. It's just that for this to be starting volume and then for it to be just down the way in between doesn't really add up. It's not like that. It's more just a case of saying where the volume's coming in at. Anyhow, to actually answer your question at this stage then, has this got one? Well, there's no flag pull there, but if I included some pre-market or post-market, maybe I'd get an actual pull. It's just there's a breakout in between, and then you've got this potential for a flag. There is no point in drawing over that and pretending it didn't happen, though. We do know that that's going to be an area to look out for, and we also know that that's going to be an area to look out for where the gap was, and that's going between 429, so 430 or so, and 370. So like that 370 to 430 zone, a 60-cent range on this one is not something that you want to sort of chew on too much if you're looking at that obviously being 20% of your or upwards of 10 anyway, but obviously depending on where you're getting in at, if you're down at those levels, 20% of movement against you, not necessarily ideal when you're looking at potential big discounts. But could that be a bull flag? Absolutely could. But a couple of warnings, just like we saw last time as well, as that on this chart, that it did like to come down and fill in that big gap, and it's probably fairly typical after a rise up. Now we've got a couple of distinctions here, so let's just point out a couple of things. You've got gaps over here which are then filled in after a rise up, and you've got gaps over here which weren't filled in preceding a big trend move towards the top side. Worth pointing out that what you're looking at there is a distinction between sort of breakaway gaps and sort of momentum gaps, or whatever the fuck they call the other ones again. So is this potentially one of them? Well, maybe worth considering, as we obviously were inclined to with regards to AMC. Overall, though, so long as we stay above the price point really of these previous lows, then of course we're doing pretty nifty. Your best buy price on this one could result in it being around about 460, because of course that 460 area is above the sort of 430 down to 3. It's 10% above that region. And you could manage your risk accordingly in there if you were to choose to do so. On the lower term time frames, though, does this really look like a gap? Well, I mean, you can first off say that if we don't act a gap, a bull flag, well, no, because it just doesn't look like one on these, so because it doesn't look like one, right? I don't think you really need any more explanation than that. We've filled in half this gap here. If we don't actually take out this gap, then what you're looking at, but if we do come in and fill it out especially, then what you're looking at here is the potential for a sort of right shoulder type idea, where you maybe would see things popping over to the other side. There is this diminishing volume throughout this period, so it's kind of consolidating. Could this be like a ascending triangle as well? Yeah, so overall there's definitely a good degree of risk associated with taking this just at face value for where it is right here, right now. But of course, you know, there's the broader perspective to say that maybe, you know, you're happy with that so long as the prices are above 460. I can't speak for you, so I don't really necessarily know how you would think about that yourself. In terms of the movements that we've had so far back up the way, would you say that there's any risk of it being too much right now? Yeah, well, no, but if we did go up for a 50% retrace and bounced off that 50% line, well then you know how that could, you know, fail, and you'd have to be very, very keen. At the minute, I suppose on this one, what's my impression on this one? I suppose in terms of at the minute downward movements, I'm going to be looking. Got way too much on this thing. Alright, sorry, stochastics. I'll just get rid of you for now as well. I'll get rid of this crap as well. And it's not bullishly divergent on those wee lows. And it's not able to take that out. Yeah, no, overall it doesn't look that fantastic. Sorry, man. If it goes above 555, all the fives, then that's cool. You're looking up for a target of 664. So 555, you know, really, you know, closing above that, there is an argument to be made about being able to manage your risk. Therefore, accordingly, I wouldn't hold on to positions below 538. I'd be aiming up here for about 640, probably most likely, if I were trading this in this range, hoping for something kind of like, you know, positive within the expectations. What am I saying 644? Is that really true? Yeah, 640 would be topsies. But then if we did break down the way, which would be very, very quickly, I'd be happy to change my position, like I said, on that one, with movements down below the 540, 530 region, and just wait and see on it, because overall that's what I'd be looking at. In the meantime, you know, I'm trying to give you a positive end to what is otherwise. You know, it could easily resolve down another dollar from where we are. It's I don't know, man. I mean, I never really do know, but this one here is like the edge on this one's been lost up to this point, unless you're trying to, like, you know, play it past that. I don't know. Right. What do we have here? No, that was it. I knew I was looking for something. Thanks. CCIV. Oh no, I've not done me 23 me yet. I'll do that. That's cool. Right. People ask about stuff. Cool. Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah. See, dealing with I'm doing it right now. Dealing with extraneous sources of which you know of information input, whatever it happens to be, positive, negative, stressful, enjoyment, you know, whatever it is, positive, negative, anything. If it's not something that you didn't kind of budget for, then it can take it out of you a little bit. So needless to say, I'm a little bit tireder today than I otherwise would be. We're above the 236 right here, having pushed up above it, found the support at the 50 simple. That's really excellent. You clearly have an edge. I'd probably look towards that zone and say that this is how I'd manage it in this region with this one. This 4-hour time frame, by the way, long position, and I would probably be looking at, I mean, if I was trading it right off of the back of this, where it is in terms of right here, right now, then that's how I'd kind of be looking at this one, just off the bat. You know, you would be able to take. That's a 1-to-1 risk reward. That kind of sucks, doesn't it? That does suck. It sucks too much. I wouldn't actually. No, that sucks. People would be up for that. I don't really trade that way. In terms of how I would manage my risk, wouldn't be able to do it at that point. I'd have to manage it tighter. It would have to. This would have to be inflection. And that point, let me just look down the way then and answer that question. Yeah. I don't know. There is something to be said here about this region. Can you get one? I'm gonna have to look at these. Do we have? Actually, fuck off, MACD for right now. Sorry. Go away. Right. I've got 2 volumes on the chart. That's why I couldn't see it. Right, get rid of that. Yeah, so I mean, I'm positive on this one. Actually, the ADX does a good job of explaining and visually why I'm kind of like hesitant on it. You know, with the strength of trend isn't there, it's orange, so I'd be good for go for it in terms of a move. It's good to go. I would just have to be prudent about it because you know it isn't there for us right now. You know, and that's okay. But can it kick in? Absolutely can. You know, and then that of course would be good. It's not yeah, right, it's not there yet, but still it's got a good chance of it. I think it's good, although to say that we could go any further and to not say we could go any further would obviously be overlooking something fairly obvious there. I was trying to look at something else but I can't see the candles anymore. Yeah, these lows, that low and that low, that was obviously divergent. Yeah, okay, so that's how I'd manage it. I would, that's cool. Yeah, sorry, right, good, decent. This chart looks decent. You can take a move off of this one. I'd say probably overall managing your risk, kind of for whatever way that you chose to do it, whatever happened to be right for you, with given whatever risk reward or whatever way you want to manage it. A couple of clear zones to be able to say that the prices could easily revisit, and that comes into that sort of 21 region. Really, you know, it could go another 10% down here fairly easily and catch this 200 simple moving average here. And you know, like, and ask questions about that previous low, etc. But at the minute, I personally wouldn't stay in a trade to experience that the way that I feel about this right now. I think I've kind of made that fairly clear. But and that I would then be looking towards the top side. Now I do need to see this kind of continue on. I wouldn't really be satisfied with just the prices only going as high as our previous highs in terms of this one. After all, this kind of like what's gone on here to get to this point, because you know, failure to take that out there is just, it's going to suck. So but I would take profit, some of it at that point there. So I'd be happy to take profit, for instance, at $27, you know, 77, like where our previous high was. I'd say $26.30 would probably roughly somewhere in there, looking at roughly towards kind of 90% of that, where that high was, just kind of say 26.50, right, or whatever. And then I'd be going up towards the next targets. Of course, 33 and 40 would be my two next targets. So if we were coming up towards these zones with, like, you know, proper momentum and not like looking like it could be, you know, ideal for it to turn around at that point, I would be aiming at 40. But to looking at the 50 here, you can see that's where our previous high was. So, you know, feel like it'd be wise, I'd probably go a third and then a third again there, and then wait and see how things happen and then evolve on from that afterwards. Probably the failure to take out the neutral line on the RSI is like another one of these little kind of concerns for me, and that's why I'd manage it fairly tight. Orange there, just below the neutral there, just at this point here, with it hard to manage your risk between those two areas. That's the key on that one. Okay, at the minute, what did you say is the other one that, Jimmy, there were people looking for? Oh, me, it's called on there nowadays, they're saying. As VG Acquisition Corp, I said that they said that this should be brand new, right, or something like that. Was it? No. Okay, I'm going to just have to get. I'll just type in 23andMe. Yeah, that doesn't come up like that. Yeah, it's the ticker is me, isn't it? That's what somebody said, but I'm not sure because that's of course the SPAC effort that they had for it, which had a different name. Wait, no, that's what the guy said. The guy says it changed its name today. The SPAC changed its name, but it's the same chart as before, right? Right. I think that's what the implication was. And then it went up 30% today, and that's up 20% right there. So it kind of had a little bit of a pullback towards the end, then evidently the last hour on the day. So yeah, great, excellent. Well, this is cool. This is cool. This has been positive for us overall. I really do wish I could properly remember what I said last time. Feel free to tell me if I was wrong. You know, did I say it was going to go wrong? It went up. What happened? Can you remember what I said? I hope it was good. Thanks, Jeff. Oh, you're just giving me confirmation there on that one. Yes, cool. Vijak, that was right. Vijak. Yeah, that was a good name for it. You know, it's got that line to it, doesn't it? Nice to see you in there, failure to deliver, by the way. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Or above it. Can they then have that sort of breakout as well from that idea? Looks like it could be. Let's have a look then. I feel like I probably would have been somewhat positive about this one and saying that I mean, obviously it was above the 236 when we were talking about it, right? Or was it just below it? What happened? Let me know if I said anything good or bad about Vijak. I really do wonder at this point. I don't want to. You got some? Oh, I must have said something good about it. You did you? Is that what that was? That's this, and you didn't check. All right. Well, there's cool. There's somebody that's made some money over there. Must have said something positive about it. Nice one. Thanks. Good confirmation on that one. I never would do that, by the way. I would never do what Jimmy just did. There's one of the differences between us. I never, ever, 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 ever tell anybody what I'm trading at all. Apart from the fact that you all know that I've got the GMEs and the AMCs, right? But that's funny. It's nice. And then of course I mean, Jimmy doesn't mind me saying that. But in the reverse, I'd be like, Jimmy, man, you can't tell people that. I don't do that. It's not how I do things. Right. That's me doing an impression myself there. Bang off the 50% line. Right, okay, cool. Could we experience a pullback at this point from this one? Well, this was one of our targets. I think it's probably fair to say. The other one of our targets would have probably been in there about that 1450 area. So, oh, that's right. Last time I just essentially constantly said Vijak constantly. Yes, yeah, that was right. That's all I really did was say. I mean, I'm tempted to start doing it now as well. So you're probably right about that one. Could we see a pullback? I mean, like the thing is, it's been great, right? It's been fantastic. We've come up here and we've got it higher without divergence. Brilliant between these two highs here. That's fantastic. Yes, there was this initial impulse up the way, whatever, massively changing conditions. The logarithmic chart. The linear chart, let's just see in terms of give me the full screen, in terms of the difference in terms of the levels of this one if you were looking at it on a linear perspective. And it's not quite got up as high as that 1395, right? So maybe we even did this as well when I looked at it, because I remember a couple of different numbers. No, I didn't just say, sorry Flex, sweat meat. I know I didn't just purely say Vijak the entire time. There was other chat that came in here. I'm getting vague memories of it. So we could still be looking up here. I feel like, you know, this here is right on it, isn't it? It's closed right on it, didn't it? Like right bang on it. Yeah, brilliant. And it wasn't able to pull any further down. I mean, you've got a red candle here. It shows you like, yeah, okay, so is this like a shooting star candle? Well, it's not outside of the price point, and that either. It's not moved outside of it. I don't know. This still looks really strong to me. Obviously, for people who haven't got positions, you're taking on an abundance more risk than people who already have positions. If you were looking to get into this one, you'd be taking on much more risk here. You'd have to manage your risk accordingly. Okay, so I'm not a financial advisor on this financial advice, but when I start talking like this, it sounds an awful lot like financial advice. I want to be very, very clear that this is not financial advice. This is me educating people on how I specifically would have to look at this to be able to stay within like the bounds of reason as a trader, to be able to kind of justify any moves that I was making. And if I was looking up towards this golden pocket, I would be needing to see this sort of risk reward at the least, you know, because earlier on I was talking about it was just like 1-to-1, not so good. And you see, if you were managing your risk here and you thought, oh, and Ollie's going up to $14 and you had to hold on to something down to there, it wouldn't be worth it. Okay, that would be not a good trade. And instead, I'd rather close out and get in again here at retest of the. This is the 1 hour time frame. In fact, yeah, because you can't see anything on the 4 hour time frame in sense of that. Yeah, I'd probably. Yeah, I would have to be trading it off the back of this and saying, well, you know, on these small term time frames, I want to get in somewhere here, looking to not take out this market structure. I'd have to manage it probably more like, I'd still be aiming up the way, I suppose, overall. I'd have to manage it more like that sort of that type of idea to be able to avoid that, just as a general thing. But from the point of view for people who have already got into this thing, then fantastic. And can you look towards the top side? Yes, you still can. It's still possible, because I'd still be looking up towards that. It's hard to look at a chart like this and not imagine it having a bit of pullback. There's this deceptive element of the volume here where it was bought up a lot, and then you're seeing less volume here pushing up the way. Well, it could, you know, be a numerous things in terms of the availability, and we know that this is a company that's an investment vehicle in and of itself as well, so we can kind of like, you know, and it's obviously not got a history as well of trading where you can make real proper comparisons. Well, it does have a history, but not a massive one, and that's just the 1 hour time frame. So a lot of caveats with regards to this technical analysis over here. Broader picture, like, you know, like before, staying above $11 is fantastic, but we do that's kind of besides the point. At that point, I would just kind of let it play out. When would I start looking to see how far it went further down? And that would happen at yeah, at 1170. If the prices break 1170, start looking for it to see how further down it went. Otherwise, pretty good and happy to buy anything above $12 in order to go for a move up the way, managing my risk accordingly. Probably around that sort of type of notion. Okay. But yes, I mean, this could easily have a pullback. Do I want to look at anything along those sorts of lines that might suggest that it, like, how far did we come between these 2 points just here already? The 1618 is where we found that support, and then we're still looking up to, yeah, you see, so is that, this is the smaller term move that I was looking at. It's the same thing, you know. If you take out that 618, then I wouldn't want to do it. So like if you've got like a big appetite for risk and you're looking to follow the trend here, then you're looking to try and get in somewhere slightly cheaper naturally or whatever. But as soon as you're taking out that wick, then it's kind of, you know, game over. And then as well, in terms of your profit, you're coming in here at something like 14 up to 15. It's one of those sorts of things, and that'll have to do on that one. Jax Pied says, I have an average on this one at 10.1, but GME has ruined me. I've forgotten how to take profit on anything. All I do now is hodl everything. Scattered with smiley faces. Nice one. Well, that's the thing. I mean, full disclosure here, I'm a trader. So you're talking to somebody. I read on Twitter yesterday, somebody had said, for all the people who've managed to get this far in the GME thing, just imagine when it gets to the end of it, like how great a trader you'll be. You've lived through all the ups and all the downs and blah, 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 blah. And I thought, wow, positive sentiment. I really like that. It's completely inaccurate though. It's got nothing to do with it. You'll totally not be. Whereas I'm a really good trader, and I'm kind of, you know, I constantly am aware of not taking profits at $72 and not rebuying in at 37, because I'm specifically not doing that because I've got a mission to achieve over here. You know, I wasn't very impressed with what I read in Forbes the other day, but other people who are leaders in the AMC community and how they're kind of, you know, able to somehow manage that sort of conflict of interest. Well, you fucking can't. You can't manage that conflict of interest. That's a bullshit to write that in Forbes. You can't. It's a you don't like, you know, it isn't in, so, oh wow, they did this so well in the face of conflict. No, a conflict of interest is a conflict of interest, and there's nothing more to be said about it than that. And I don't do that with AMC and GME. When it comes to everything else though, I don't have a conflict of interest in that front, right? And I just trade them as much as I want. Try and remember that. Become a good trader. It's a skill for life. It'll really set you well for the future, and I recommend, you know, not sacrificing one thing for the other. You know, you can be flexible and as well be hodlable. And if you're thinking about it that way, then that's great. And if you're not, if you're just thinking, oh, I'm investing in this one and whatever else, then there are broader stroke pictures, obviously, that we educate, and you can apply all of this stuff to the monthly time frame and find where you'd be going on a bigger picture. You know, it's all the same. It's all the same type of chat. You can just whack up the time frames, get much bigger areas to look to, and kind of tolerate your positions along those ways, and use various strategies like scaling in and dollar cost averaging, all these sorts of things that we discuss on the channel anyway all the time. So, you know, but just to address that specific point, and I know it was made in jest and everything else, but just to address that specific point, you know, simply by hodling a stock, it doesn't make you a good trader, and simply by talking about a stock doesn't make you qualified to tell other people what would make them a good trader. So I'm aware of that. Okay, moving on. Right, Flex Sweat Meat, Rocky Outcrop, really appreciating this assessment you're giving on this. Oh, right, cool, nice one. Thanks, one. Purple Haze, would love the apes guide to TA and indicators one of these days. Rocky Outcrop, thanks for all you do. Keep forgetting about it. Yeah, rather than doing any more TA suggestions in terms of anything that people talk about, let's take a couple of minutes to run through a few indicators from a sort of on a couple of minutes each level, and it'll help me establish. It's 1 hour and 31 minutes into this as well, from a sort of own reference later. It'll help me establish a base level understanding, perhaps, or at least make a base level understanding something accessible and achievable, and a goal that you can work to properly. Let's try and do that. But I'll bring my face back on screen actually. Bring my face back on screen, at least for a wee while here. I've flipped, haven't I? Whatever. I don't know. Maybe I haven't. Right. So we're going to look at indicators, okay? And we're going to understand what they are. My name's Rocky Outcrop. I might make this entire thing into a clip. I might clip it up a little bit, a couple of different times. Who knows? But I want to educate you in a way that makes understanding these indicators an achievable goal for you and is understandable, okay? What we're going to look at right now is going to be the RSI, the MACD, the DMI. I'll take suggestions from chat. This is filmed during a live episode, by the way, and if you're watching this separately, make sure you do drop by for a live episode because it's great, fun, interactive, positive TA with a really supportive and fun community. So how can we do this then? How can we achieve that goal by looking at it? Maybe there's a stock or something out there that you could look to try and find out this and draw a reference to. Maybe it's best to go and look at something completely random. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's best to look at something that's not necessarily in everybody's wheelhouse, but it's a highly liquid market and it's got good use basis for technical analysis, and that's of course euro dollar or some other forex thing. Now you'll probably be all familiar if whether you are in the world, you know, a lot of my audience is in America, a lot of them are in Europe. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're probably familiar with either the euro or the dollar, and of course the sort of imperative need to trade this thing in international markets, right? And therefore, you might want to know about various different indicators. And I've got one up on the screen right now. This is a whole load of lines up there. Of course, you can see the candles there, but these lines are moving averages, okay? These ones that I happen to be using at the minute are a combination of exponential moving averages and simple moving averages. And the way that you would use these is in a number of different ways. You look at the slope of them, you look at the position of the price in relationship to where they are, you look at the crosses of them. So for example, over here we can see that they crossed over, and while the yellow was above, the yellow then was down below. All these sorts of things are what leads to you having a better understanding of the nuances of the market, where the price is in relationship to where it has been on average, the average sort of buying levels that there's been, and it gives you a good idea about where you might find support and resistance, of course, as well. But there's a couple of extra little tidbits that I could throw in there. For example, after a golden cross, which is the 50 simple period moving average and the 24 and the 200 period moving average on the daily time frame, there's often a retracement towards where the moving averages are. For example, you can explore more of those tips on your own. So here's another indicator down below. What one is this? This is the RSI, okay? And the way that I've got this laid out on this chart, it's got boxes in the background and it's got a moving average on top of it as well. So there's a few different components to here, which of course you may not have seen on other RSIs, etc. But none of it is particularly scary or of course confusing or any of that sort of stuff. And I can just take it all off there and show you that line that's up there. That's just the RSI, okay? And you can put on all these different drawings on the background and it gives you a better idea of what the relationship is with the RSI and of course the levels that you typically would look to. And as well, you can have this moving average on here that shows you the relationship of the RSI, of course, versus its own position across time, as an average would do. Here, then, in terms of how you use it, a lot of people look at things like whether or not things are oversold because they've gone up to the very extreme highs, or indeed, or sorry, overbought, they call that, and then they call this oversold. Personally, I like to think of those as being extremely bullish and bearish areas. And actually, funnily enough, you know, I have my my backgrounds here positioned in such a way that they're slightly more extreme than they would be on other charts. And this is a really good example here to show you that this is more extreme. Obviously, in terms of Forex, it's very, very rarely ever broken outside of what I have up here as this band in the background, that green box as it happens to be colored on this chart. I change the color of these things from time to time. That green box, that bullish control zone, you can see that this Forex pairing never really pushes outside of it. Why is that? Well, it's because of the liquidity in these markets and of course the the ideas behind it, the liquidity, the way that people trade it, everything else, right? And of course it's open far longer and all these things. Now watch here as I jump towards a different chart, for instance, this random cryptocurrency here, and you can see that frequently it pushes outside of these zones, okay? This happens a lot more frequently. Now, if I go up to another thing, such as this Bitcoin, you'll have heard of that cryptocurrency. Now, of course, it happens here as well. It pushes outside of it from time to time, and until such time, you know, so you can see there's a slight difference, which is why it's always kind of a good idea to not necessarily just take the textbook value that is given out with any particular indicator, what comes out the box, etc., and maybe to kind of look at it with relationship to how it works in your own market. And that's a great example of that happening. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can use that indicator, and for example, I talk about these things on my channel like RSI swing failures, which is a really level 3 type idea. A level 2 type idea is, of course, divergence as a concept on the indicators, another thing that we talk about an awful lot on the channel. And these are concepts that you might want to investigate, of course, in your own time and using the educational content that I have on my education playlists. But that's the RSI for you. It's called the RSI. It's the Relative Strength Index. It doesn't really matter too much what its name is. And the reason is that the way that these things kind of mostly work in terms of oscillators, etc., is you take the movements of the prices here, the highs and the lows, etc., where maybe the wicks were, maybe it closes, etc., various components, and you then convert them into this movement with a range on here, which is bound at the top and the bottom, so that the prices have to move, the lines have to move between these ranges, which shows you the same information on screen interpreted slightly differently, and that's within those nuances that you actually get to get great insight into the markets and how money is moving around. Another example of these, of course, is the MACD. Now, on my chart here, you can see that the MACD might not look as familiar to you as you've seen elsewhere. Why is that? Well, I talk about it from time to time. In fact, is this over here? Have I got a line on here? I must have been doing some TA on this chart back in the day. That's cool, isn't it? Anyway, the what you've got here is the MACD. Now, what you'll be looking to see, of course, is these two lines added on top of it. Now, those colors are not what you're maybe used to looking at, but it doesn't really matter. You normally see them red and blue, probably. I tend not to use those. That's interesting. Why is that? Well, that word I said earlier on, divergence, is what I primarily use the MACD for. Okay, so if you look that up, you'll know all about it. The MACD has the MACD line and the signal line, though, and a lot of people look at crosses of these things. For instance, you've got a cross coming in just here on the 1 hour time frame on the Euro USD. I wonder if this will represent some sort of bottom for us in terms of the price action that was happened here recently with the big pullback that there's been. Who knows? That's maybe one interpretation of that there. So there's plenty of different ways that you can use these things, and again, it's about finding what you find to work best for you. Okay, great. What is the MACD, you might be asking? Moving average, convergence, divergence. What it does is it takes these calculations like a moving average, like we can see those lines earlier on that I described at the start, they were moving averages. It would take one of those, which happens to be, I think, the 24 or the 26 period moving average or whatever, and it displays that on the chart. The 26 period moving average minus the 12 period moving average, sorry, that's the MACD line. So it takes two moving averages and it takes the larger one and it subtracts a smaller moving average value from it. So you get to see the convergence and divergence. You know, for example, if the moving average had a value of 10 on one day and then a value and the smaller value was 1, and then the next day it had a value of 10 and the smaller value was 4, then of course those things would contract, and you that's kind of the basis of that indicator. And the difference between those two lines is what forms a divergence. Anyway, crack on and learn all about that one as well in good time. Here's another indicator for you to look at. This one's called the directional movement index. Okay, now this is of course a really fairly complicated indicator. As you can tell, having looked at a couple of other indicators so far, this one seems to have more components to it. Well, it's not unintelligible, however. We have a couple of different lines, and what they do is they show you the strength of the movements. At least that's the idea as well, similarly to the RSI, and it shows you as well this ADX line on here. They've got the green line at the bottom, purple line showing you the relative movements of the prices. It shows you the relative movements of the prices, and then they've got the ADX, which shows you the strength of trend associated with those relative movements of prices. Okay, and then you've got in my layout here, a grid in the background, highlighted areas on there, etc. The Adx line, which is this blue one, turns to orange, turns to red. That obviously happens at different, not obviously, that happens at different levels here. It's because when it's blue, there's a strong trend. When it's orange, there's a weak trend, but there's something there. When it's red, it's just chop. Okay, so orange is half trendy, half choppy, red, chop. And then when it's white hot blue here, like the really kind of the really pale blue, then at the bottom, that's when there's really no volatility at all. Wonderful ways that you can use this, for instance, trading options. You can look at that, and that's a powerful volatility indicator. Nobody really talks about it. Two reasons for that. One, it's kind of flown under the radar, sure, but also it's also quite complicated. For people who are trading in options, they quite often like to look at things like TTM squeeze and Bollinger Bands and Keltner channel, whatever, and looking for like in terms of the volatility, etc., and breakouts and whatever, all these other sorts of things. But that's a really great one. The historical volatility indicator, for instance, another fantastic example of that. And there's another one, and there's plenty of different ways that you can use these things, okay? And you will find out all about them. It does take a long time to learn your own sort of ability to interpret the data versus understanding the theory of it, just like learning any sort of language, okay? But you can absolutely do it. You just have to remain patient with yourself across a long period of time, developing mental schemas of all the information so that when you look at it again, you're able to think back about other times that you've seen stuff, which is really important, you know, to be engaged and interacting with your own data there, as opposed to simply trying to find what would identify a signal and then acting on it without any real sort of understanding of what that information is telling you how to do. There are 1,000 other indicators and many, many, many more that I would love to show you. I'll give you a couple more here before I kind of say the end of this little chunk here for you. But I want to, but you know, let's look a couple more. The things that I've been looking up there so far have been oscillators. Okay, they're momentum oscillators and the like, you know, to show us what's happening off the chart. And we've also had the EMAs here and the SMAs here on the charts as well, but that's the only one that I've shown you on the chart, and I'm sure you're dying to know about multiple other indicators. Well, there are a ton. You've got the Ichimoku cloud. It can show you support and resistance zones, gives you crosses for like knowing about trend movements, like the way those moving averages did. Has other things to help you kind of choose your rationalizations for getting into positions, such as this lagging line here. You know, is the price action above the cloud while the lagging line is still below the cloud? You don't have a good trend, blah 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 blah. Ideas like that, they're fantastic, and there's lots of other really great ideas too that are in many other indicators. You've got things like the Donchian channels, which really clearly identify to you when you've actually pushed past the previous area and are able to maybe, you know, be trending, properly trending, and have that strength, enough strength to trend to really say that we're looking higher and higher still. You know, as you can see over here, we had the channel up there and we came up at highs, putting highs, but we were never able to break it. When we broke it, it was like a change of conditions. Sure, we saw a pullback afterwards because markets will oscillate, but we went on to higher highs subsequently thereafter. There's other ideas as well. The Bollinger Band, most commonly used, of course, for just saying when it's high, it goes low. When it's low, it goes high. Fair enough, okay? I'm not going to debate that too much. There's a lot more sophisticated ways of using it. You'll find out all about them all on my channel, of course, and as well, people then have other ideas like in here, volatility low could be a squeeze. As you can see, I mentioned volatility earlier on, and how the DMI can be used for that. Up there, you can see that that's when it went white. It wasn't earlier on. Different sort of way of finding that signal. My preferred choice, whatever. So there's plenty of other things that you can do. Plenty of other indicators, millions of them. And in terms of like being able to manage positions in an effective way, then I suppose I'll finish this entire sort of summary of indicators by bringing into you a couple of other ideas. Day traders during the day can look at things like VWAP, but it changes every day. If you ever hear anybody talking about the VWAP on the daily time frame, then you know that they're a nut job, for instance. And then you can talk about things like Fibonacci retracements. They're absolutely wonderful. There's an example of one up on the screen just now. They can show you really key areas on the charts. And of course, then you have the I had something cool in my head to kind of finish up with that one. Well, yeah, then you have all of them, right? And it's great. What was the last one I was going to show people, I wonder? I'm sure it doesn't matter. There's lots and they're great. Learn all about them. There's a lot of you can learn, and I'll see you again on the education playlist in the live stream. Thanks. Okay, so I totally forgot what the last one was there. I'm pretty sure it was like a really nice way to end that section, but when my brain went blank, my brain went blank. What are you going to do? Thanks so much to everybody for having asked me repeatedly to do something like that. Well, I've finally done it. There's a little bit of info. Miss A says, thank you for everything you do, Rocky. I miss Scotland. Oh, Bury tweet worrying or not? No, because the guy's a clown, but let's look it up anyway. Tony, you're a mate. Tony, man. Thank you, Tony. Tony's a really great guy. Let me know in there if you thought that thing it was specifically asked was like, can you give it like an introduction to indicators for apes? You know, Tony's a really great guy, and he'll also tell you all these sorts of things. Let me just look up his channel here so that I can show you. You know, here's a guy, member of the community, an outcroptician, as it were, a Rocky outcroptician, and he has his own YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm just going to drop this in here to the chat, and you can see, look, he's got a video out today. I've not watched it yet. Trading different time frames, why, when, and how. By the way, don't be alarmed when you see my thing low. I watch these over again. That's why that's low. Trading different time frames, why, when, and how. Great, look at that. There you go, another educational video. So the sort of thing people ask me about all the time. I'm sure he's got something great to say about it in his own lovely, friendly style. So there he is, Tony Wright, a good friend of mine. What was that somebody said here? I had something in my head. Quote of the day from Rocky Outcrop. Yeah, I did. I definitely had something cool in my head. Did have something cool in my head. I was also going to look at something there as well. I got up the screen. You'd said something, and I was like, yeah, I'll look it up. What was it you said before? No, not the code. No, not the code. It was something there now. It's like I could look something up. Oh, Jesus. I was on my way to do something, right? And then I saw Tony Wright had put a message in. And I was like, I'm going to look up Tony's channel. But I was about to do something else just before. What? Ms. A asked about something. Is that what inspired me? My God. Bury tweet worrying or not. Yeah, let's go look him up. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Miss A. Right, let's go look him up. What's it going to be? Michael Bury. Spelt something along those lines. Let's search. Let's search. Not that guy, not that guy, not... Or is it that guy? I mean, what's he actually... Actually, can somebody tell me what his Twitter handle is? Because I don't follow him or anything. Rocky Outcrop, I watched it already. Good info in there. I wonder what you're talking about. That's cool. You Scots rule, says Purple Haze. Thank you so much. Stefan S, Jaxpia, Jeff Smith. Man, y'all don't even know retail apps are a day late and getting the ticker changes. So this first day has very little retail buying. Tomorrow retail will be smashing the 23 in May. That's true, man. You know, in a sense that like retail apps, but not just retail apps, but retail in general, right? Or whatever. I mean, it was good, the good work of people in the community that brought my attention to it. What's that there? Somebody called Epiphian said $10. Epiphany. I read it wrong. I read it wrong. It's Epiphany Jones. No longer Epiphany Jones Esquire, but Epiphany Jones. So lovely to see you there. I think I also have a sneaking suspicion I missed something that somebody else said. I was all cool guys don't look at explosions, and somebody put in something and I was like, I'll just check that out in a minute, mate. And then I didn't, right? That happened, didn't it? Pretty sure that happened. Have a drink on me. No. Oh, somebody put in a thing, but it didn't have a message attached to it at the time. Oh wait, that was maybe you, Tony. Oh no, Tyler Warner, $25 through Super Chat. Tyler Werner. Or I thank you so much for that. Somebody's probably written in his Twitter handle at this point. Michael J. Burry. Right, great. Michael J. Burry. Is that his Twitter handle? Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Johnny Satsuma and others. Oops. Tony's new vid. I watched that just before you popped on. Oh, really? Oh, is that what you were still talking about or something? I don't know. I hope you liked it. Hope it was good or something. All right. Michael J. Burry. That's me searched. Cassandra, yes, Cassandra, that's right. The problem with crypto, as in most things, is the leverage. If you don't know much about leverage, if you don't know how much leverage is in crypto, you don't know anything about crypto, no matter how much else you think you know. All right, okay, fair enough. Doesn't have me worried at all. Fair enough. I was going to say I was going to say, all right, I was going to say I also like making arrogant tweets like this, but whatever. That was genuinely I was going to say, because I do. Oh, I can say that. I've got the green light. Hey, fair enough. I also like making arrogant tweets like this. Yeah, fair enough, man. Totally, I get it. I get his motivation. This one, all hype speculation is drawing in retail before the mother of all crashes. FOMO. Parabolas don't resolve sideways. When crypto falls from trillions or meme stocks fall from tens of billions, Main Street losses will approach the size of countries. History ain't changed. Yep. History hasn't changed. Thanks for the reminder. Anything new to add at all? Question mark. There you go. Well, I'm not trying to troll him or anything. I don't know. People do love him. People do love him. Then why not? He's talking. He said it himself. History doesn't change. It's totally true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. Whatever. That's true. There's nothing to worry about in there. I'm wondering what. Is there anything? Why can't I see the rest? Oh, right. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, yeah, so he's not said anything that's worrying in there. When he's talking about the mother of all crashes, by the way, what he's looking at is like what everybody's looking at right now in the markets. You know, I mean, I'm not joking. Not everybody, but, you know, in terms of like everybody that knows what they're doing and stuff like that, all those guys. He's looking at like these highs that come in here with this obvious bearish divergence. Okay, so you can see here in the RSI huge bearish divergence as we've been putting in these highs. Okay, right, and then you can go, well, like if this is really massively bearishly divergent, when have we seen times in the past it's been bearishly divergent, etc. And you can look at my video where I do technical analysis, explain from like 1890 up to present day to show you that, you know, in the face of all sorts of big market crashes. What's this one here? This is that's nothing important, sorry. This here, right, great, fantastic. So this is our highs, and bring out the charts. Oh, look at that, there's some bearish divergence along the way. Oh, look at this, it's been kind of extended. It's been extended. Now what's happening at the minute in terms of the markets is actually quite like this phase right here, right? Okay, so you've got this chunk where it's going up, it's so obviously visibly extended out the way. You look at the markets, you go, oh, look, it's so obviously bearishly divergent, blah blah blah. There is a bit of a pullback, and then it goes on higher. This is what's happened so often in the past. So like just measuring between these 2 points here, you can see it came back down towards the 382 before popping on up the way, etc, etc, etc. And actually, you know, that isn't really necessarily a fair Fibonacci in that sense, because really would have had to come from these areas instead. So really actually taking it in from that up to the highs, you can see that we didn't even go anywhere near that point there along those lines. And you can make the same sort of argument as to what's happening right now with regards to this exact thing that's happening right now. What you would do if you're a really cool guy is you would put out tweets about it all the time, and then of course people in the future will say that you're freaking awesome. You can see we're miles away from the 236 right there on that front, but then you can go back into like little ideas. I need to get rid of all this junk off the charts, all in the bin, right? You can go back to other ideas and you can say, well, where are we? Where are we? You know, from there we're below the 236, just coming down to 382 kind of thing. Where's the real low? Would it have been here beforehand? We're right at the 236. That's probably where we are, you know. And then what you do is you simply just wait. If the prices go up, then you just say the same thing. So then you just do this. You go biggest speculative bubble of all time, right? And then you do it right there. You go, what you do is you do this. Okay, you do that and you go copy paste, right? So you do that and 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 you do that. And let me just show you what that actually looks like, because people think I'm taking the piss at the minute when I do that, but I'm genuinely not. You do over here. Just come over here. Get over here. What you do is you do it. Let me go back to 2008. What you do is you do that. Copy, paste. And you do, oh, biggest speculative bubble of all time. You go biggest speculative bubble of all time. You go biggest speculative bubble of all time. The biggest speculative bubble of all time, right? For example, right? That's what you do. This is how this works, by the way, for everybody who's uninitiated. Biggest speculative bubble of all time, and then it's like, oh my god, OMG, you said it! Wow, you said it, buddy. Yeah, you said it. Actually, everybody's been talking about it for a long time. A long time. Since before 2017, okay? A long time. Talking like we've all been talking about it for years, just like how back then we were talking about it for years in advance. Years in advance. We were talking about it for years in advance. Just like how we've been talking about it for years in advance. Just so everybody's brought up to speed, okay? Choose your own heroes. He's not mine. But that's cool, you know. It's cool. Burry's case, biggest bubble of all time by 2 orders of magnitude, 100x. Yeah, sure, that's all good. I mean, like, what do you want? I mean, so what? Every bubble along the way has been the biggest bubble of all time. What was that? Was that not the biggest bubble of all time? No, was it not? I mean, if I go back, like, what do I need to? Where's the biggest bubble of all time? It's the latest bubble. The next bubble after this is gonna be really big, right? Gonna be really big. But sure, cool, whatever. I don't know. And he's right in the sense that the problems that were meant to be addressed in 2008 were not fixed, and it's led to massive amounts of speculation and over leverage. Massive amounts of it. Cool. So here's the new here the new Edinburgh one is cool. A bowling ring. Oh, there's a bowling ring just walk. Oh. What are you saying? Got darts, beer pong, shuttleboard, and bowling. All right. What's shuttleboard again? That's that one that was. That's the thing. Ah, you hit the thingy. And some retro 90s Sega arcades. Oh, now that's now you're talking. I'll go there and I'll play a game of I've been talking about it so much recently now I can't remember it. Time Crisis. I wouldn't mind a game of Time Crisis. It's been a while since I played Time Crisis. Thanks so much for hitting like, by the way, Tony. Jeff chatting with somebody else. That's quality. Excellent. Let me just scroll back up and see if I find any questions in here. I think I'm losing respect for Michael Burry, but his tweet momentarily made me think, uh-oh, then I took a deep breath. Yeah, look, there will be crashes along the way, right? There will be. And in many ways, maybe even people will look back and say that we're the ones responsible. Well, we know better, right? Because we're not. Because like Michael Burry says, it's a hugely speculative bubble where prices are outstripping earnings bigger than they ever before. You know, like the prices of Apple outstrip earnings by 20 or something like that. I don't really know. There's tons and tons and tons of that out there, and that's fine. It's not a wrong comment, but it doesn't. None of us are causing any crash to happen. You know, going out there and buying stocks is the last reason any crash has ever happened by some retail investor. No, it happens because of systemic risk. It's the same answer every single time. Almost. It's not actually every single time. It's the same answer 80% of the time. So yeah. Are we to cause for any of this? No, we're not to cause for any of this. Day after day, says K-Doc, still on site. Right. Oh, okay, so that's where you're talking about the new bowler and arena. All right, cool, nice one, man. Happy for you got a day off at last. Dana, good to see you, by the way. Thank you so much for your contribution there. Can't thank you enough, Rocky. You and Jamie are truly the best TA guys on the net. Ape strong and diamond handing till the end. Boys, woo! Thanks so much. That's really, really nice of you. That's really, really nice of you. I really appreciate it. Amber, $10. Thank you so much. Did I miss these earlier on? I'm doing like a trade spawn impression over here with all the chat I'm missing, eh? Hey? You didn't hear me say it. It's okay. I got away with that one. He's now looking up at me like, what did you say? I got away with it. You didn't listen. He's reading the chat, you see, so he didn't. The part I can't work out is why does he assume retail will get the shaft? It seems to me that he doesn't understand the situation fully then. Well, I would agree with you there, but I would say that nobody understands the situation fully, right? It would be beyond hubris for me to claim that I understand the situation fully. The thing that I understand about the situation is that due to an actual proper comprehension of the situation, as it were, is what's led us to this point in the first place. Otherwise, it would be moot. So, yeah, you know, that's right. I don't think he fully understands the situation. I think it is, as we say in Scotland and actually around the world, it's beyond his ken. It is beyond all of our ken. That is the vast magnitude that we're talking about here. But furthermore, to say that retail gets shafted, it's so what? Like, you know, probably tons of people get when recessions happen. Or even if it's not like massively experienced viscerally by necessarily everybody in the economy, you know that there's people out there who are getting shafted, right? And who are they? Well, it's you and I every single time. You know, every single time. The people who are at the top, you think, oh, Lehman Brothers, they went bust. Oh no, oh poor Mr. Lehman Brothers, poor Mr. Lehman Brothers. What is the Lehman Brother boss called? Right, Richard's thingy. Net worth $250 million, eh? Phew, he must be depressed. Unfortunately, not all retail trades have GME. They should though, says Jeff Smith. Not financial advice. That Jiu-Jitsu Sai says, when Ambo. I think we just got one, although I tend to tune them out. Vespa Piaggio for the win. I went right chatting about the ciao. You know, the Eddie Izzard sketch. Is that what you're going to be? Yeah. That's the wrong thing. Great picture though, that, eh? This was a couple of days ago, or a day ago. I know it's all very exciting, but I feel everybody needs to calm their tits. You had no idea. You had no idea. You're so right. What did I want to look up there? I wanted to look up that him saying ciao. Ciao? Is that gonna be it? I really want the exact moment though. Nope, not gonna get it. Well, somewhere in this sketch here he says some funny stuff.
All of Europe, you must do this. Well, we're not gonna. We're gonna have a sandwich. And Germany and Japan, they do seem to have a natural instinct, in a very generalized way, for organization and all those 50s films like Roman Holiday. It's just like that. Everyone's just cool and hangs out.
I'm skipping it. I hope we don't ruin it.
There's nobody here. Yes, a land empty of human existence. Who the fuck are these guys? What's all this, please?
Doesn't matter.
You should, because you grade murder. You have murder one.
He says ciao at some points and it's funny, and he's talking about Vespas, and basically the whole thing's funny. I mean, that's just one bit from it. Rocket Outcrop, someone fed the nipple instead of meatball. Really? I don't understand. It's under one of these jokes called meatball, but I don't get the joke though. Someone fed the nipple instead of meatball. I don't know. It's funny though. I'm laughing. I'm like, I wish I knew the full extent of how funny that was. EDY, love his early stuff. Yeah, yeah. Is that how you're supposed to spell his name? Whatever. Adam O, one share of any SPAC you like. It's purely for intelligence gathering. So you get the proxy email. It's about that proxy vote email, so you know exactly the date it goes public. Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting little thing there. There's a little sort of insight for people. Or whatever you'd call that, I guess, tip or something. Yeah, exactly. So people discussing that way, that's cool. Adam O, oh, that's a great call. So I guess that's the whole chat there, right? And that's that. Right. What else is there? Rocket Outcrop. What I don't understand is that GME is negative beta and is a meme stock. So if market collapses, hedge funds will be forced to settle the GME shorts. Yeah, so negative beta, by the way, when people talk about that, it means like they're talking about correlation, right? And a strong positive beta between the Bitcoin and gold price would mean when Bitcoin goes up, gold goes up. That type of idea. And what they're saying, what Stefan Esser says with that phrase is that GME's got negative beta, that generally speaking, it doesn't work that way. And that's an interesting point to be made as well. It's an interesting point to be made as well. For sure. Man, seriously, when was the first time in the last 4 or 5 years I heard somebody say this is the biggest speculative bubble of all time? It was easily 5 years ago at this point. Anyhow. Andrew Mo Money's dog is called Meatball. Yeah, I got that part, but somebody fed the nipple instead of the meatball. You know? Did somebody actually, I mean, that makes sense then, says somebody to Dad. I was out at St. Andrew's Square and they were kicking about. I was big jealous. Oh, the Fandans that drive the Ferraris. That's the Gold brothers, mostly the Gold family and that and everything. I'm not slagging people off on the internet. I'm just saying that that's who it is, eh? They're like, what are we going to do? Let's open up a Scotland shop. And then, and like, I'm bored today. Oh, let's open up another Scotland shop, like next door. And they're like, between our two shops, there's a shop that's going bust. What should we do? Let's open up a Scotland shop. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say anything negative about them. I'm just saying that's what they do. I got your back, Tradespawn and Rocky Outcrop. Thanks so much, Dobber Mamba. That jiu-jitsu guy, Rocky Outcrop, he's talking about Robert Paulson from Light Club, the meme you showed recently. Somebody fed the nipple instead of the meatball, and that's it. And you explained the joke to me, and thanks so much, jiu-jitsu guy, and well done, good humor. And I'm really slow. Okay, good one, nice one. God. No, I'm not playing piano. Jack's Pied, is that a piano behind you? And when are you going to play it for us? Hey there, piano man, yeah, play it again, please, Sam. When are you going to play me that song again, Sam? You're going to play me that song again. Hey. There you go. There's your music for this evening. Trace1, I just got 6 subs for that call. Thank you so much, Rocky. Hey, there you go. There's a guy that appreciates his subscribers. You're welcome, man. Totally, you're welcome. Right, so anyway, 2 hours, 8 minutes into the stream, we're chatting about pianos and stuff like that. Got Deep Value, DFV's stonk portfolio. You'll see he has 1 share for over 100 stonks. He does this to get the proxy emails. There you go. That's straight from the... it's a good trick right from somebody who knows these sorts of tricks, right? Great stuff. Like, that's great. Rocky Outcrop, can I request 1,000 miles Vanessa Carlin? Thanks. Vanessa Carlin? Yeah. 1,000 miles by Vanessa Carlin. Vanessa Carlton. This is obviously not 500 miles. You see, that's the thing that... this is this one. This is this one. Ah, yeah. This is this one. I know a guy that fancied her when this came out, and I'm not sure how appropriate that was for him to do that. He's well into her. I've not heard this song since it came out. Yeah, I'll get a copyright. I'll not get punished badly or whatever. It just means I'm not getting any. Yeah. Well, I mean, I probably lost it with the run rig earlier on anyway, and all the rest of it. But it's all good. What? Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't. It's okay. It's good. I want to play the song. The guy requested the song. It's all right. It's all good. You know. Yeah, of course. I will lose. Oh, sorry. Jimmy's pointing out to me that I should probably draw specific reference to the fact that I'll probably almost, well, I will. Vanessa Cartlin's going to get all the money from the advertising for this video that I've just done, right? I don't mind, but that's what's about to happen. Everybody that tuned into this video today and over time in the future, they're giving money to Vanessa Carlton right now, and maybe some to Runrig, although I don't know about that one. It doesn't matter though. It's just that I wouldn't even have thought to have said that. I was about to play it. It's like, I don't mind, because we're here as a community to have fun together. And I think it's worth pointing out explicitly today that that's what that means, by the way, when that sort of thing happens during my stream. And I don't come back to people who've never asked for a donation. Well, I kind of have, in the sense that I've been like, no, I've not. People attack me on Twitter, yeah, and I'm fed up with it. And why not be explicit about these things? Because I would have just done it without being explicit. But, you got... And then there's this. The owl? Yeah, no, what's she doing? What's the owl doing there? Oh, this is some piano, alright, aye. Ah, exactly, Morris, man. I'd walk a 500 miles. You know, well, that's the thing is it's the that's the thing is that in the 500 miles song, he actually what he says it would. I've already told people this story in the past. I'll tell them again. That's true. Okay. Right, so when I was a kid, okay, my dad had a cafe. Oh, Luke, thanks so much, Luke. But Luke, man, thank you so much, Luke, man. You're really awesome. Really awesome guy. Really awesome. Massively appreciated. Is like in the likes of everybody that's donated, and it'll come up in the thing later on. Special shout out at the minute because you'll not be here for the reversal call and the credits later on and fapping it. Jesus, guys, thanks so much. Yeah, when I was a kid, right, my dad had a cafe in town, and the area above it was flats, okay, apartments. Thank you so much for fapping it. There was apartments, and there was a nice corner. It was on the cafe was on a corner. There was a nice corner window there above the entrance to the cafe, and above the entrance to the cafe there was a nice, really nice cross. You know, the doorway thing, the big bit of stone up above it. Thanks, Arnie. That's really appreciated. And it was really good for them to be able to open up the window. The people that lived in that flat open up the window, the big windows, stick their legs out over it, and sit there and play music, okay? And it was also caught the sun. It was a nice place to be. Now, as a kid, I didn't know who these people were. But they were two brothers, two Scottish brothers, in fact, who would sing songs such as I'm Gonna Be. Well, I've grown up with a love of the Proclaimers ever since. Next couple of minutes without the fucking lyrics on, you crazy. Like I say, grew up, and these guys happened to rent that flat above the cafe. Loads of wonderful memories as a kid, watching them play music out their windows. Hiya to the kids outside, me and my brothers. I've got two brothers, by the way. And yeah, I don't need to see these guys in their video. I've seen that 1,000 times, so let's put on the lyrics. I'm so sorry, everybody, pause that. But there was a cover of this song back in the day. Who was it that did it? NoFX or something like that? No, it wasn't. It was that stupid ska band. What were they? That ska band. They were pretty tacky. I don't know. Anyway, Haverin, by the way, Haverin means indecision in Scotland. You know, if you said to somebody, "Do you want a cup of coffee? Do you want a cup of tea?" and they were like, "Ha, ha," you could go, "Oh, you're Haverin." Now that would be the fun way to do it. But obviously, it's good for stressful situations. Oh, and by the way, thanks so much, Mr. Pickles. Wow, amazing. And Ronaldo Moreno, you're a legend, Rocky. I follow no one. I follow no one but me. Yeah, man, that's it. That's it. Good mantra. I follow no one but me. I do, however, stand shoulder to shoulder with you and many others, stronger together. Yes. Man, that's good. Poetic. Anyway, back to the music. And now you all know what havering means. So if anybody's like, oh, I don't know, you go, quit your havering, you spaz. I'm so sorry, man. I'm going to play the music. I'm going to keep playing the music in that. But I'll keep playing the music. But I want to have the lyrics up on screen for the music. Right. I'm going to... no, it's not tough luck. It's not tough luck to the guy. We'll just go back to the song. Tough luck to music, exactly. Yeah, Jimmy said tough luck. Well, it's tough luck to music, yeah. What was it you said? Theta and T-Fuel. Fundamental analysis after story time, please. Oh, you said for fundamental analysis. Man, well, fundamentals, I could... gosh, that's a hard one. Let's just quickly look at Theta, though, so I can just show you the chart right now, real quick. This one's done all right, kind of recovered, you know, a bit more than the others after the crash, but obviously it's lost 50% of that most recent rise up, and you know, volatile markets over here. Shit. In fact, today that's obviously been fairly painful for it in terms of that pullback, but we're actually breaking above this entire range. Closures above the sort of 90-cent area, absolutely fantastic. That would be a good target for us to have. And in terms of Theta, what it is CoinGecko, and that go over, yeah, leave this chart, whatever. You got Theta on this thing here will show us a wee bit about it. You know, this is the white paper over here. My camera's doing that thing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's disappearing, it's reappearing, whatever. Here's the white paper. I think it's quite an interesting project. One of the things about it is that they've got this about the video traffic. They're kind of compared to YouTube, and that's their best platform. Now they also want to be in the Internet of Things space. I think it's a pretty good opportunity. If you look at their Theta website, the actual Theta TV thing or whatever, it's pretty decent platform, and that I think that it has a lot of work to go ahead of it, a lot, but it's a pretty decent platform. Theta Mainnet 3.0, whatever, T-Fuel staking uptime, so that's pretty decent. It's got 12 days, 21 hours to go for it. That's an event psychology thing. So going back to the chart then, now that we know that the biggest, most key thing about the fundamentals is this fact that this is happening in 12 hours, 12 days, 21 hours, is that. Then we can go back over to trading view and bring up the Theta chart again, and or the T-Fuel chart this time, in fact. T-Fuel USDT, and then how's this one? Oh gosh, as well, that's done pretty decent as well in the last while. It never actually crashed after that market crash back there, but the others did. Well, it did in a way, but oh, it's recovered decently. That looks like it is bearishly divergent, though. Yes, it is. Of course, it is. With this recent high, it's good. Is good. I need this thing to stay above 39 cents. Can it stay above? Can it stay 40 cents higher? 40 cents might be your best next buy price for it, but this is pretty good and it looks decent overall. Just let me slap on some moving averages here real quick. Yeah. So like staying above the 50 simple here at the 40 cents region is obviously the key. That might be your best buy price. At the minute, it looks good. Taking out 68 cents, and then it's kind of like a who knows where it could go. Well, we kind of have a rough idea, to be honest with you, because of the way that these things have been working in the markets over the last wee while predominantly is that they've been aiming up towards this zone. We've already almost made it up as high as 79, but I'd actually be aiming up to about 120 on that one if we do actually break past break past 70. I'm aiming to 120, really, to be perfectly honest with you. Great, fantastic. Really sorry for missing that message the first couple of times you put it in, and we'll go back 30 seconds in the song to kind of get into the mood again. Everybody gets to say "and when you haver" all over again, right? So there we go. We'll go back as far as that, and we're Badam. It's really good tune, that. It's a really good tune. Really good tune. Be sure to sing that one the next time you get absolutely blootered. How about we just kind of wrap up the show, and I'll let the proclaimers sing us out with this particularly lovely tune. And I'll also put the lyrics on as well so that you get to read them. I'll take myself off the screen as well. I'll pop up the old Rex Racer, by the way. You're amazing. Thanks so much. I'll pop up the old picture of me with the stupid crown, right? Great, nice one. And then and I'll do the reverse roll call and all that with the credits while I play this lovely tune.
My heart was broken. My heart was broken. Sorrow, 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 sorrow. My heart was broken. My heart was broken. You saw it. You claimed it, you touched it, you saved it. My tears are drying, my tears are drying. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My tears are drying. My tears are drying. Your beauty and kindness made tears clear my blindness. work and your birth and my birth. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. Today's day. Pac-Man, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Tradespot, thank you once again. Eddie B, K-Dog, you love this one, no doubt. Tony Wright, Stefan, good to see you. Jeff Smith, Queen Bee, Rex Racer, love you man, thank you so much. You're kind soul. K-Dog, Jack Pied, Apple Blossom, thank you so much again. Apple Blossom, really appreciate it.
Was broken. My heart was broken. You saw it. You claimed it. You touched it. You saved it. While I watch my room on this earth,
Thanks Daniel, Colby, Chris,
I will be with you.
Rex Racer, Apple Blossom, Robert, Tyler, Werner, Tony,
While the chief
that's
put sunshine on me, I'll thank him for
Thank
his
you.
work
I'll just say thank you to everybody, that's all it was.
and my birth. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, thank you so much everybody for tuning in. I massively do appreciate it. Really, 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 really do. Daniel, Lesage, Paul B, Chris Murillo, Mario, I should say, Tough Gnarl, Julius Miami, Rex Racer, Apple Blossom, Robert, Tyler Werner, Tony Wright, Miss A, Arnie McInnes, Epiphany Jones, thanks Christy, Amber, Dana, the Natural Fiend Friend, Jeff Smith, Luke Spears, Fapping It, Ronaldo Moreno, Mr. Pickles number 4, Horvey, and then everybody that subscribed during the show today whilst watching along, massively appreciate it. Getting close to that 7,000 number, it'd be credible to be there. It'll be so fantastic. Thank you so much as well to people that chose to become members today. You've got Kala Kala, Chris Murillo, Tommy Berman, and of course Hrohe, I'm going to say Harold again, our pal Harold, I'm sorry man, I just can't say it, H-R-V-O-J-E, what a challenge. And to everybody that's in the chat right now, you know, thank you so much, thank you massively, really, 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 really do mean it, thank you so much. So you've got Jeff Smith, you've got Grace Foundation, Apple Blossom, Vic Finst, Dobermere, Serena, Paul B, Wavelength, Dax Pied, Flex, Sweat Meat. You've got Dad, thanks Dad, Duro, Queen Bee, Huffman16, Eddie B, Nova Scotian Unicorn, Stefan, and just so many, Eddie Brock, Alexei, Paul B, thank you so much for that, I really appreciate it as well. Dobermere, I'm just scrolling up here and seeing that other donation that Rex Racer put in again as well for $100, which is super generous of you. I massively appreciate it. Brian, thank you so much as well. Chris Sweeney, Morris, and well, just everybody, you know, just everybody. Like that song went out to all yous. See you next time. Better end the stream before anybody donates again. Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow.